Billie Eilish. So she came under fire last week after a TikTok video showed her mouthing an Asian slur. She put out an apology yesterday, and she said the video was from when she was 13, maybe 14. And she was mouthing the words from a song that at the time she didn't know was a derogatory term. I'm not excusing it, but there has to be some level of understanding that this is a child. Billie Eilish is both apologizing for and clarifying a recent video that surfaced of her using an Asian slur and seemingly mocking Asian accents. She is saying the clip isn't entirely as it appears. So she came under fire last week after a TikTok video showed her mouthing an Asian slur that she was singing along to a song by Tyler, the Creator. Okay. He's got a song called Fish.
Okay.
And the song's entire verse is slip it in her drink, and in the blink of an eye, I can make a white girl look like a blank. Okay.
Okay.
And so the mashed up video then shows Billie Eilish speaking gibberish, which many believed to be her mocking an Asian accent. So she put out an apology yesterday, and she said the video was from when she was 13, maybe 14. And she was mouthing the words from a song that at the time she didn't know was a derogatory term used against members of the Asian community. And she went on to say how appalled she is, how embarrassed she is. She said she wants to barf that I ever mouthed along to that word. She said it was the only time she's ever heard that word. And it was never used by any members of her family or anyone else around her. And then she also went on to say about the mocking of the accent. She said, I was simply using a language that I made up. I always used it with my pets, with my friends and family. But then she goes on to say, regardless of how it was interpreted, I did not mean for any of my actions to have caused hurt to others. And it breaks my heart that it's being labeled now in a way that might cause pain to people who are hearing it. So this song is from 2011. And from what we can see, he never received any serious backlash for using the slur.
I was going to ask that question. Did Tyler, the Creator, come out and talk about this?
Not that anybody is finding.
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, and doing a little digging. So, I mean, this is a really tricky thing. I heard Elizabeth Reese on the air this morning saying, you know, here's a 13-year-old, right? I mean, there's a reason. Elizabeth made a great point. There is a reason that 13-year-olds can't be tried as adults, right? Like in a court of law.
Right. Yeah.
They're very impressionable. They're sponges. They soak up things around them without even knowing what they're saying. I'm sure I've been guilty of that. The only difference is there's no video of me. You know, we're living in a different time, and I'm not excusing it, but there has to be some level of understanding that this is a child who is saying.
Well, I would ask this. First of all, an interesting point about, has Tyler, the Creator, come out and addressed this, or is it the person who is reciting the lyric that he wrote?
Yeah, this has happened before.
But I wonder, thinking about this in this moment, what is the person who posted that? What is the point of posting that?
Well, to hurt her.
Okay. So I don't know if
I would assume.
I don't know if that's productive. I don't know if you're just trying to say, if you said this, however old Billie Eilish is now, I don't know how old she is, 5 years
19.
ago or 6 years ago.
She's still a teen.
Are they still trying to thoughtfully ask the question, does she internalize racist beliefs about the Asian community? Or is that person who's posting it just trying to know that the actual real concept of like Asian hate and trying to make sure that we fight that? Are they just trying to use that as a sticky jumping off point to get views? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
these
then
are
sort
all
of
good
force
questions.
an apology. And I think Elizabeth makes a fair point about our kids. Listen, I think there is you want to teach your kids to do better, to know better. And also, you know, for as much as I joke about myself as like Steve Pruderson, like there are songs out there that aren't great. And then if your children are in these early stages of their sort of development,
Sure,
it's very easy to just mimic whatever it is, recite whatever it is you're hearing without understanding the impact. And that can be lyrically in a whole bunch of different songs and a whole bunch of different genres
Like
where you have to be really mindful of that.
Right. You can hear kids, singing sexual, lyrics to songs without knowing what they're saying. They have no idea what they're saying. And I'm hoping that that's what this was a case of. I don't know.
Well, look, I mean, she did the right thing there. I maintain everybody would be canceled. Just be careful when you try to cancel. So I don't know if this person's trying to cancel Billie Eilish. But it all now, when we hear stuff about this, you wonder, what is the point of the poster? Who's bringing it to light?
Yeah.
You know? Because I don't know, would it make more sense if she had recently said something and then he was like, oh, look, there's a history. She's grown up like this.
Sure.
But you're right. I mean, let's all just be honest enough to say that if there were cameras on all of us at all times, everybody would be canceled for something at some point.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And so it's just, I really appreciate the idea of knowing better and then doing better in like real growth. I'm not going to clang the gong again, but I always say it's much better. I don't like cancel culture because it's much more powerful to have a transformed heart than a silenced voice. But I don't know. It's when people hear these stories, I think there's a part of us that now sort of just feels like that you're just trying to get somebody canceled. You're not trying to really create a better dialogue. You're trying to cancel somebody. But Billie Eilish did the right thing here. And I'm glad to hear that she looks back, as we all do, with things that we have done in our past.
Sure.
With great sadness. And, oh gosh, was I at a minimum foolish or worse? I was just didn't give people the benefit of the doubt, thought of myself as better than others in a variety of different categories. So I really appreciate when people have like an actual growth through mistakes.
Yeah. And, learning from the community that is offended, like listening to them and getting out of your comfort zone. If, having uncomfortable conversations is what's going to help us as a community. Be
willing to accept the fact that you have biases.
Yeah.
And then be willing to be uncomfortable enough to address those and grow through those.
Exactly. Steve, you nailed it.
Well,
Thanks.
Guess what we didn't get to? Best and worst foods to eat on a first date.
I'll post a link. I'm sure people are already aware that they shouldn't be eating spaghetti.
French onion soup.
Garlic sandwiches.
Hey, do us a favor, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and then it'll count as something that you did today. That's all.